Welcome to Ain't Nothing New Under the Sun. My name is Darius.
I am George.
And we got another action-packed, crazy, fun episode. Depressing, but fun, you know. We put the F-U in fun. That's a Darius Cash original. Trademark. Copyrighted. All right. Today, so we're going to start off, we're going to be talking about LA versus Orange County, the school systems, what they're doing, why they're doing it, and some information on that. Are your kids going back to school? Are they staying home? Are they going Amish? We don't know yet. Then after that, we're going to be talking about some information about Florida testing and all that fake news. And then we're going to be going down to Fauci. Do you trust him? Do we put all our trust in one man? And then we're going to have to go because, you know, I know the pandemic's hot, but so is China. So we have to go talk about a little tit for tat with Beijing. All right, George, we're going to talk about LA first, and it's up on the screen.
All right. LA Teacher Union said schools can't reopen unless charters get shut down. At least did. Major Teachers Union is claiming that the reopening of schools on its district cannot occur without several substantial policy provisions in place, including a moratorium on charter schools and the funding of local police, which is awesome. United Teachers Los Angeles is 35,000 strong union in Los Angeles Unified School District made those demands in policy paper to release this week. The organization called out local authorities to keep school campuses closed when the semester begins August 18th, so a month from now, essentially.
Literally 1 month and 1 day.
The union outlined numerous major provisions it says will be necessary to reopen schools again, including sequestering students in small groups throughout the school day, providing students with masks and other forms of protective equipment, and redesigning school layouts in order to facilitate social distancing. Yet the union goes even further than requests calling for local support and to fund the police.
So not only are you going to be having to wear a mask while you go running the mile, actually they probably get rid of, the mile, because actually they've already had a war against PE and physical education. So we're making our kids more unhealthy, and then we're going to say, well, because they're unhealthy because of our own actions, we are going to not let them go to school, and because this makes no sense, it has nothing to do with it, but the police are bad, so did they get rid of Dare? Is Dare still there? Is Dare anti-Dare now? It's are you racist? Are you...
Dude, funny story about that. My nephew in New York, he's doing the Dare program, and they tell you, they're cocaine makes you feel like the king of the world. They blatantly tell you, I swear to God, he's dude, he's in 8th grade.
What if you want to feel like a queen? Just saying, come on, some guys want to feel like queens. That's New York. Okay, that's not me.
True. True.
So, well, Dare didn't work. We all saw the video of the girl deflated. It's what happened to her? And she's she smoked marijuana once. And it's my back hurts, so I kind of want to get deflated, It's damn, she looks thin. Weed does that to you?
No calories.
But this is crazy, right? The police have nothing to do with public schools. Charter schools shouldn't have anything to do with public schools. Why are you dictating you're opening up just based, with 50% of the reason that? They can't hide 100% behind the reason of science, that they call it, with Bill Nye the Science Guy trying to help with science, because 1 in a million children that get, so if 1 million children get COVID, 1 in a million between the ages of 1 and 18 will die from it. And then most of those are above 16, and most of those are unhealthy. So it shows that most kids aren't going to have any problems. Now, yes, there are children with underlying issues, but that's their parents' fault, that's society's fault, and that's school's fault. School lunches are horrible for you. They eat nothing but bad food. I was young. I ate nothing but bad food. I love sausage sandwiches, and it gave me a problem because I ended up having health issues later on because I ate more sausage sandwiches than the recommended amount by 10,000, okay? So maybe if COVID was out when I was younger, I could have had issues. But why are we holding these kids hostage? So we're causing more depression, more stay at home, more work and stress on the parents. So now you can't send your kids to public schools are we going to not have to pay taxes on our property taxes? Because that's what pays schools.
Yeah,
So
that's what the whole entire thing with charter schools. They want those shut down also because they want nothing to do with educating your kids right now. Like it's like charter schools want to remote over, but these 35,000 people said no.
Yeah, and that's
It's not.
they're holding your children's sanity and emotions hostage. They are saying that you will kill your children if you send them, and your cops are going to kill your children. So why don't we just stop both of that? And it's like, you can't defund the police. And again, a lot of people are saying, okay, defund doesn't mean you get rid of all of them. But the problem is there's different departments. And when you defund, right, you have to make cuts in certain departments. And certain places have to be rolled back. The overall force of police isn't rolled back normally. It's different avenues, like their forensic departments, their specialties departments, certain very expensive departments, because the average cop is cheaper than a forensic office, someone that works in forensic. Mm-hmm. That's a fucking fact. So they're going to keep the cheaper cops, who are normally the shittier people that do the problems and cause the problems, quote unquote, rather than, deciding what to really do. And again, holding kids hostage and having demands is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's like, why don't, here in Waco, they actually sent out, a questionnaire to the parents. What do you want? What do you feel comfortable with? And how should we move forward? So it's not the teachers. It's not the union. It's literally them asking, hey, what do you want? What do you need? And what is the best choice of action for you and your household? Because again, so now say you're already struggling financially because you got, issues with COVID and you lost your job, mm-hmm. or you're having issues. Well, watching your child does cost money. It, say you get an opportunity to go back to work, right? But now you have to deny that opportunity because now you have to watch your kid. And teachers are still, and actually I saw the teachers union wanted a raise while they're doing online schoolwork. It's like, so I understand it is a problem that teachers have to pay for their own, supplies sometimes.
Classroom stuff.
And yeah. I do think it is a problem that it comes from our property taxes, and certain areas pay less of property taxes or have less finances because there's less property taxes coming in, because either the property is cheaper or there's less homes, whatever, what have you, more like, apartments and different things like that. So it's going to cause that school districts to have less money. Well, our federal government has already said we want to do choice, and we want to get rid of that, and we want to say, okay, why don't we stop paying property taxes and make it flat across the board? All schools get paid the same no matter where they are. Why not that? I think that would be smarter. That would help kids.
That would be. Yeah.
But people are ridiculous. People are jumping on the bandwagon. And guess what? Teachers are going to get paid regardless of whatever choice they make. And, you mentioned yesterday there was a lady in Arizona that was a teacher that died. Well, she was 61 years old and morbidly obese. So,
yeah.
She wasn't that healthy. And they have a picture of her fishing. Well, mm-hmm. Look, you could fish and be fat, Just
yeah.
saying. Like, she was morbidly obese, she was unhealthy, she had underlying problems, and she was over 60. But the majority of teachers are no longer over 60. Actually, a lot of the workforce teachers are now younger. The majority of teachers are between
just graduated college,
24 and 44. That is actually the mm-hmm. biggest number. And it's 10 in 100,000 people who contract COVID would die from COVID. That's the statistics. Look it up. Dr. Ron Paul was actually Rand Paul was just talking about that.
Yeah, you mentioned that to my family or to my Democratic family, they lose their shit when I mentioned Rand Paul. I'm like, that's actually one of the good guys.
Yeah, he's a doctor. Recently we talked about him trying to get troops out of Afghanistan and give a little bit extra money to our troops that have mental disorders and mental anguish because of the false bullshit endless wars we put them through. So going on this reopening.
4 Green Berets died from that, by the way. Sorry. Okay.
Oh, well, no. Well, you could talk about that. But, I was talking about last night about the movie The Gray State. How this mm-hmm. veteran wanted to create an indie film, and he was in the middle of creating it and never got released because he just randomly snaps and kills his whole family, then kills himself, and has a note saying that he hates his wife's Muslim faith. She didn't look Muslim. She could have been Muslim, I don't know, but she must have not been that practicing, because she was never, she never wore the hijab, and she never, covered up, and she should have covered her whole face if she's actually practicing. But whatever, that's just me. That's my opinion. I may be wrong. Yeah. He was murdered, in my opinion, because he got too close to the truth, and that's what happens. People die, people disappear, and things happen. Mysterious. There was an article I read from Forbes the other day that was saying that even colleges, now they didn't give a list of colleges, but they said that a few colleges have been talking about mulling over if people should have the vaccine before they open back up. And they're saying because they're not going to, a lot of colleges right now aren't opening their campuses this semester, they're doing online, and then the next spring they're thinking about opening up, and they're mulling over maybe we should have mandatory COVID vaccines just to open up in spring, or at least for you to go back to school. That in my book is ridiculous. That's
in general, my uncle got it and he didn't get antibodies after he tested for antibodies, so if there's no antibodies, there's no vaccine, so people would get it. So
yeah, we'll see what happens.
See what happens.
Yeah, so it's all right.
They're willing to stay close for 2 years. That's on them.
Yeah, they're just trying to make people on edge, just push people to the edge. And guess what? It's really weird that the school year or the first semester goes right through the elections, and so when the elections are over, the new school semester, new school year will start. Isn't that kind of coinkydink? Isn't that kind of a coinkydink that they're making?
Funny how that works, huh?
Making people stay home, stay sick, eat unhealthy. Let's be honest. A lot of people probably are afraid to go to the store.
Shut down the gyms.
Shut down the gyms. Some people are too afraid to go to the store. Some people have stores that don't have the proper, produce they need, and so they're going to DoorDash, Amazon Eats, and all that.
Liquor
and
store.
They're eating and drinking bad things every day. I gained weight recently and had to start going to the gym. Luckily, the gym's open back up, and I start eating better because, I'm not trying to be a COVID death, So I'm not trying to help their cause. But yeah.
No,
all right. So that's LA. LA's lost their mind, but LA lost their mind forever ago. We forget that there are an ungodly amount of homeless. More, so many homeless. There's actually more homeless that I read a statistic. I don't know how true this is. There are more homeless that die in LA County alone than unarmed people are killed by the police a year, or it's around the same. So that's a problem. That's one county. There's homeless all over. There's enough vacant homes for bears to move in Detroit, but not, homeless people. Tent cities are out of control. The next time you go to LA, look around. And here's another thing.
Everywhere.
If COVID's that crazy, why haven't all the homeless died? They have no social distancing, no sanitation, no proper diets, nothing. They are considered some of the most unhealthy people, and they're not dying. Maybe it's because they're so unsanitary that they're just nothing can kill us anymore, They're used to rat shit. But LA, you got real problems, lots of problems. And not letting your kids go back to school is a problem. And holding them hostage to defund the police when, have y'all been to LA? There's called crime. There is crime there. I don't care. I love LA. It's a beautiful place, some places. But there's crime. And that's a fucking fact. Because people suck, and there's always going to be criminals. No matter what. Even if there is no utopia. So and so there's a big-ass D in front of them, and a big-ass L. Loser Angeles. And let's go to Orange County. What are they doing, George?
Orange County largest school districts won't comply with the Board of Education and vote to return to the classroom. Some of the largest districts in Orange County, California, say they will not follow into their Board of Education's recommendation into the return of students and teachers to the classroom. The Orange County Board approved its recommendation on Monday for the reopening of the schools in the fall. The board voted 4-1 to approve the set of guidelines, including regular temperature checks, frequent hand washing, thorough cleaning of classrooms, offices, and buses. Doesn't seem that hard.
Weird.
Board did not, however, require the use of masks or social distancing. In fact, it advised against the measures.
Wow.
Good job. Good job.
Well,
Orange County Board of Education met virtually Monday evening to vote and approve. CNN contacted to gather information from everything on Tuesday. More than half then said none said they would return children to school without masks or the social distancing.
So why is it, real quick? I have to say this, right? I had to put my sunglasses on because we're in the OC. We got the OC sun out in my eyes right now. So this should be a win-win for everybody. Now, hear me out.
FYI, Santa Ana, they're going to continue with social learning or social distancing learning. So, like Santa, yeah, which you kind of figured.
Well, they already said that this virus.
No
is
one
so
shows up
smart,
to those high
it's
schools
racist
anyways. Yes.
So here's a little, a win-win in my book. Now, the reason why it's a win-win is, one, if it works, kids don't have issues, it doesn't cause the spread, kids go back to school, it could be a model for other people, other counties, and other states, and other school districts to follow. Stay clean, stay smart, get educated, right? Now, if it doesn't work, you'll kill old, rich, white people. Mm-hmm. And it's going to make the Democrats happy because they hate old, rich, white people. So, either it works and other people could follow, or it kills the elites. Because, again, the kids would have died, but they would bring it back home, get the elder, because, if you're from Newport, your dad might be like 70 years old and you're only 20, you're less than 20, because that's what happens. And his other kids are from the other mom. So, it's a win-win for especially sugar mamas, sugar babies should be super psyched about this. They're like, oh man, finally, I hear that cough. I'm gonna get that money. So, they should encourage this. Because again, if you hate the white patriarchy and you hate the elites, let them die. Or are you so afraid that they might be right? See, that's the biggest problem. Because, let's be honest, next time you go on Twitter, you'll realize that people don't really care about each other's life or well-being or health. And they're just saying it. They're just saying the things that they say because they don't want to be wrong. It's not that they care about other lives. They really don't. People don't care about each other. Let's be honest. It's because they want to be proven right. It has nothing to do with they care about public safety and people's health. It's that these far left, I'm not saying all the left, because I'm technically centered left, towards, there's some things I like conservative, some things I like liberal, and I'm like one of those new age things that I don't fall under R or a D, but, I don't know. We don't have a party. We are the party.
We are the party.
So, a lot of people call me a C, conspiracy theorist. But, these people don't care about each other. Most Americans really don't care about each other. I got Twitter job. I mentioned this in the last podcast. And everyone called me retarded. They called me stupid. They said that I don't know anything. I need to get educated. I made a joke, mind you. I made a joke, okay? People are jumping to conclusions and saying, oh, you must believe this, you must be that, you must be this. Because they don't have the mental ability to understand, comprehend a joke that was making fun of liberals and Republicans, conservatives and Democrats, all of them. But they just heard one name and they're like, oh my God. So it's like, if they don't care about you online, imagine how much they care about you in real person. They don't care about you. And I think they should do this. Because why not? Why not? Europe has done it. Schools in Europe have been open since our mass spikes. They've been open for months.
Yeah, you're right. So here's the deal in Orange County also. Semester. Huntington Beach Union High School District, La Habra City School District, Anaheim City School District are all saying they're not returning back to school. And Anaheim is, out of all Orange counties, the biggest spikes, essentially. But Tustin and San Juan Capistrano districts will provide a hybrid, or a choice, and Irvine too, which is Irvine's providing a choice also. So
Well,
it's literally split.
just let you know, my nephew went to school in Irvine in elementary. It was already a hybrid. They had iPads, and actually here in Waco it's the same. Actually, nicer school districts, sad to say, they already are hybrids. They have their own iPads at home that the school provides for them, and they do partial work there, partial work on the iPad, and it is already a hybrid. There's no more, like most, unless it's a project, they don't take paper home. Most of it's paperless.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that was Waco and Irvine. They literally have iPads for most of their stuff anyways. So it's not like they are not used to that, and it's not. But the thing is, they need social interaction. Children, that's how you develop. We all know the weird kids that... We all met a weird kid that where you're like, whoa, that kid was homeschooled for most of his life. He doesn't know how to speak to somebody. Okay? We all know that. And I'm not saying you can't be homeschooled and be fine, but you need to get tougher skin. You need to build your immunity, and you need to build social skills. Okay? Mm-hmm. Life isn't fair. Life isn't nice. Nobody's nice. Children aren't nice. Adults aren't nice. Nobody's there for you. And you learn all this in school. You learn that there is a tiered system, a social structure system. You learn some people are favored more than other people. And that carries on in life. If you're homeschooled and you're told you're the most amazing thing on earth every single day and nothing is wrong with you, you can go out to the world with that opinion and that belief. And you're going to get your ass kicked. And you're going to feel like shit. And then you're going to go protest and cry and say the world's not fair because the world isn't what you thought it was going to be. I'm sorry. It's super weird that it's like a lot of these people that are protesting, a lot of these, like, you know, I dare say white kids grew up in majority white neighborhoods with majority white family, majority white school. And then they're saying, and they're mad and depressed that they're like, we're here for the people we've never met. You know, actually, Ice Cube just posted about all these white liberals. Ice Cube literally posted today about these racist white liberals putting down black people by saying that they're putting them up. By literally using the black angst and the black plight to just make themselves be boasted in the social community and in the social media community. Because that's true. You know, Malcolm X already warned about it.
I feel that fist definitely got hijacked because they're using the similarities to the communist fist.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Like, that's kind of weird too, you know?
What's the difference between this and this? This, right?
Solid.
You ever seen Owens? Right? Or what's his name? Not Owens, sorry. That was the one dude who won against the Nazis. Talking about the one in the 70s. Fuck, whatever.
Yeah, Jesse Owens? Sorry. Or
we'll come back to it. But when the first Black Power symbol came, it's this, right?
Yeah.
It's the fist. This.
Solid.
Right?
Communism.
You know, well, you know, this might make people mad, but this to this, do this with your wrist. Hey. So, think about that for a second. But yeah, straight up, power, right? You don't punch like this. That's the whole point. It's power, it's grip, you punch, right? This is actually representative of the communists. Why? Because it's actually this with hammer and sickle. It's supposed to be holding the sickle. It's identical, just a different color. So now your symbol is communist. And even if that's not on purpose, it's subliminal.
I mean,
you're being used, like the brown shirts.
People that don't know this, Darius, are just going to be like, oh, it's a fist, blah, blah. Like, it's not talked about enough. I'm sorry to say, it's really not talked about enough. And until we start getting a following, followers, tell people about us. Like, people need to know about this shit. Like,
repost
not a lot of people
us.
Are talking. I don't think anyone's talking about, like, the difference between the fists.
Yeah, it's a huge difference, and it's a problem. And here's another thing. If you look at, like, Nick Cannon, he had 3 fists up. Again, multiple fists means the people's fist. That actually means the communist people's fist. Literally. The only difference is one's red and one's black. It's the same thing. It's like you follow Marxists, who was a known racist. But then also people follow Biden, who's a known racist, that incarcerated black people. Okay?
It's just one big joke.
Nobody's
I don't know
without
how
sin,
serious
okay?
people are going to
Nobody's
take
without
these
sin.
hybrid classes either, you know?
Look, they've already shown, you can look it up, that the school, work has decreased, the attendance has decreased, because you actually have to log on and you have to do your work, and it has dropped off dramatically. Because we all know, most of us didn't like doing homework. We were forced to do schoolwork and finish schoolwork because we were at school. But at home, we didn't do as much. We wanted to go play with our friends. We wanted to go on this. We wanted to go on that. And then now, it's all at home. So obviously, you don't have to be a Dr. Genius, a scientist Dr. Genius, like, Bill Nye, apparently the most genius person on earth, to understand there will be a drop. Okay? And what if I have a question? What if my parents are stupid?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stupid parents out there, okay, that can't do easy math, especially the new age math that they call it, and they have a question. And the teacher is only there for so much time. I have nephews and nieces. I've been around them doing all this. The teacher isn't there every second. They have to get back to them. The kids have to learn how to email and contact, and that still doesn't help. Sometimes a kid needs that reassurance in person to say, let me show you. Let me talk to you. Because they've already proven that there's different types of learners. And sometimes you need someone to kind of walk you through it.
Yeah.
And then, what if you're a shy kid and doesn't want to ask the question? So you just continue to get it wrong. And you continue to fail. And then you fail out. Or just never get it.
There's going to be interesting people that pass high school at this point. But even my 25-year-old brother, he says he can't, he's distracted at his own house because there's he can play video games, he can watch TV, he doesn't get his work done necessarily in a completed time because he's distracted at home.
Well, it's true.
That's the fact of the matter is kids get distracted at home.
Yeah, that's an adult being distracted. Now imagine a child.
Exactly.
You have friends, Pornhub, you have Xbox, PlayStation, you have exes, you have problems, you have text messages, you have YouTube videos, you have podcasts like the great, amazing Ain't Nothing New Under the Sun. There's a lot of distractions, You have abuse. Look, if you just look at the abuse has gone up through the roof, right? So now you have angry family that's having financial issues. You have angry, say your parents are fighting, some abuse at home, among each other, among you, whatever. You have the whole family at home. Some kids are 1-child households, there's 6-child households, 10-child households, 3-child. You have everyone. Now even your bandwidth is having problems. They're still having issues. My nephew and nieces were having a lot of issues with their online homework. And then you have the distraction of your parents fighting. You have the distraction of their financial issues. And let's be honest, parents, when they're having issues, it ends up coming out on children sometimes. Now, not directly, but it could be indirectly. So you're having financial issues, you're afraid, family's dying, you're being told by the news every single day you're going to die, your family's going to die, you're unhealthy, you're eating bad, you have nothing but stress. Children's stress right now must be through the roof.
I can't imagine being a black kid right now telling, pretty much the news telling me every day that you can get killed by a cop. And, the fear that's building inside of them that's going to probably stick with them for the rest of their life.
Yeah, but this is all what it's all about. It's about fear. It's about control and fear and lying.
Well, they're doing it.
And lying leads us to the next thing. Let me pull that up. George, Fox 35, take it away.
Fox 35 investigates the Florida Department of Health says some labs have not reported negative COVID-19 results. After Fox 35 News noticed errors in the state's report on positivity rates, the Florida Department of Health said that some laboratories have not been reporting negative test result data to the state. Countless labs have reported a 100% positivity rate, which means every single person that tested was positive. Oh, other labs had very high positivity rates. Fox 35 News found that testing sites like One Local, Centra Care reported that 83 people were tested and all tested positive. The NCF diagnosis in Alachua reported 88% tests were positive. How could that be? Fox 35 investigated the astronomical numbers, contacting every local location mentioned in the report. The report showed that Orlando Health had 98% positivity rate. However, when the Fox 35 News contacted the hospital, they confirmed errors in the report. Orlando's positivity rate was only 9.4%, not 98% in the report. So
someone moved a decimal over one extra time. When you do math, you do you get a percentage. You have to move it twice. They're like, see, there's a problem. Someone was homeschooled and they moved it over one extra time.
Dude,
one less.
the VA had a positivity of 76%. It turned out to be only 6% of the people.
That's not how you round up.
That tested positive. Like, dude, like.
And even Como on CNN admitted that there were testing issues when he was talking about how the White House wants to take. This is why the White House.
Control.
Look, I argued this already.
We need to
audit these hospitals. We need to audit them. The federal government. And now the White House has decided, saying, okay, instead of it going straight to the CDC, we're going to look at it, then we'll send it to the CDC. And of course, these psychotic yahoos at the left media, liberal media, are like, they're gonna edit the numbers. The numbers are being edited.
Being edited right now.
They're gonna politicize it. It's been politicized. You have politicized it. Day in and day out, you politicized it. You don't politicize it when a Democratic governor massacred elderly. Massacred. 33,000 deaths. Plus 17,000. Y'all know how much that is? Do you not know? That's more than 1/3. That's more than 1/3 of all the deaths. More than 1/3 are from 2 states. And then you say, oh, per million. Yeah, it's 10 times higher than the second biggest states, the third biggest states. Per million, New York is over 10, and New Jersey is like over 11 times. Texas, Florida, and California. I'm going to stick up for California because at least California's death rate is nothing compared to theirs. And California has how many large cities?
Dude, the San Bernardino County only has 325 deaths of COVID. San Bernardino County. That's one of the biggest counties in the U.S. Darius. Yeah. And we only had 325 when we were forced to shut down. Yeah. That's sick, dude.
So
that's sick.
What is the issue? Is this false reporting? Yes, it is. False numbers, false reporting. People are doing this on purpose. They're politicizing death. And they all need to be audited. All of them. All these people need to be held accountable. If it was a doctor, an administrator, or whatever, what have you, the CDC, whomever, they need to be held accountable for this. And that's why the White House said, okay, give it to us. We'll look at the data, and then we'll send it to the CDC. And of course, freaking Chris Como, that loser, him and his nipple brother, refuse to admit his brother massacred elderly people. Refuses. After he got back, has him on, and they're joking around with a giant Q-tip. Well, thousands, tens of thousands were dying because they decided to put elderly with COVID into nursing homes with other elderly that was sick. That's a death sentence. So there is a problem. These lab reports are incorrect. They're incorrect. And even if it is cases, let's look at deaths. I'm actually less worried about cases because there is a threshold for cases, and New York obviously already hit it. Once you have so many percentage in history, they show that by the time you hit so many cases, so many deaths, and so many cases, there's normally a threshold. The fun part about being human and having all these different bacterias, antibodies, white blood cells, and how the human body works is that there has been countless viruses. Every year there's an influenza spike, except this year, and different common colds and different issues. And guess what? Your body fights it, right? And some people have compromised immune systems or compromised health, and they die. That's a fact. Okay? So there is normally a threshold. Normally, unless it's weaponized, you're not going to massacre every single human on Earth and every single animal with one virus. It hasn't happened yet. I'm not saying it would never happen, but historically that doesn't happen. So obviously, by massacring 33,000 people, I'm going to use that word, New York hit their threshold. So many people got infected, so many cases happened, and they hit their threshold. They plateaued, and then they dropped, because that's how it happens. And then these other states that never got to even close to that number, nothing close to that number, are continuing to go up. Not in deaths, mind you, they're more flatlining deaths, but cases are going up. And so we need to audit them, and we need to audit deaths, because honestly, I've heard too many stories, and I know they could be stories, and I know that, again, there are underlying issues, and a lot of people have died. I'm not saying people are dying from COVID, but we need to see, is it exactly COVID the reason why they died, or is it another reason? We have videos and evidence of health officials saying what they're going to mark as COVID death. And it's incorrect.
They're just accidentally killing somebody because they gave them the wrong medication. There's that shit, too.
Okay, I want y'all to look this up. Look up how you put a ventilator in and what a tracheotomy is. Look up what they have to do to hook you up to these machines. It ain't that sleep apnea machine you sleep at night. There's actually a doctor that came out. I forgot her name. I'll have to look it up. Maybe on the next one I'll show you. That she said that it's so stressful that they're finding out people are having mini strokes.
Putting it in?
Yeah.
Essentially?
Just what it does to you. So stressful. From getting COVID to how you're treated to how life is going to actually going to the hospital to the treatments to the medications, to everything. Some people, there's been a number of people that they did autopsies on, and they're like, oh, they had mini strokes. But they never treated the mini strokes. So that could have actually caused more issues with these people. So again, audit the hospitals. Audit them. Go in there, ask for all the information they have, the test results. They need all test results, what the procedure was, and why they did it. And they need to ask every physician, every nurse, everyone. Here's another thing, right? I have a sister that is a respiratory therapist, and she's also becoming like a full-on RN. My other sister is an RN. Her whole job is respiratory therapy. I don't know if you know what respiratory means, right? Look that word up if you don't know what it means. So she got her hours cut recently because they decided to use regular nurses to work on respiratory issues rather than because they want to save money. So not only are they not using people that went to school just for the lungs, just for respiratory therapy, they're using regular nurses that have a general idea, right? So that's, instead of calling a specialist in, you're calling in someone with a general idea, right? Just because you know a little bit of everything with health doesn't mean you know everything about that. That's like saying, I'm not going to get into that. But look, so she loses her hours because, and the hospital says, well, it's because we want to, our regular divisions are having we're taking in less people, so these nurses have way less hours, so we're just going to use, to save money, we're going to cut your hours, use them in place of you, and then they're going to honestly mishandle. I don't know if you've ever met an average nurse. They ain't nice, okay? They're unhealthy themselves, number one, and a lot of nurses aren't that nice, and they're very unhealthy. I haven't met that many healthy nurses. And obviously there are healthy nurses out there. But I've met a lot of very unhealthy nurses. A lot of rough, a lot of rude nurses. Because again, people can only take so much. And so you have people that aren't specialized in this working on someone. So obviously, if you're not specialized on it, you're not going to do the better job. You're not going to know certain procedures, certain issues. Because again, you have a general knowledge rather than a specialty.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a problem. And that's not the only hospital that's doing it. That's also a huge county hospital as well that's doing it. That is an issue. So that is probably causing other effects and other problems with people that they're not even, marking down. And then these nurses are being told, oh, well, if they have symptoms, let's just write it down.
Mark it.
It's
just so disturbing.
Texas, I just read, had to retract 3,800 cases over the weekend. Why? Or this week? Because
I didn't hear about that. That's fucking...
Yeah, I just read it. So, why did they have to retract this? Because they weren't positive tests. They were symptoms. So someone had a symptom. I got the black lung pop. I smoke so many cigarettes that I cough all the time and I have no more taste. I drink Scotch raw on the rocks so I don't taste anything anymore. I'm an alcoholic. I don't taste anything. And you're coughing and you don't taste anything. You got COVID. Oh, you have a fever? It's not the flu. It's not influenza. Ha! What is the flu? That's not even real. If you look at the statistics, it's gone down by 1/3 this year. Look it up. People
crazy, huh?
are literally... Apparently, the flu's getting its ass beat, right? Its ass beat by COVID. COVID apparently is so powerful, it kills the flu and the cold. Did you know that? Look that up. Apparently, you can't have both. It's only one or done.
Dude, it's disgusting. Like,
it's ridiculous. And again,
yeah.
audit.
Mm-hmm.
On all of them.
That's a scary word for these people, and they're just like, oh no, Trump's gonna fuck with the numbers. The numbers are already being fucked with. Yeah.
I got screwed over by Obamacare. I owe thousands. Because I didn't mark off the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And change one thing. So, if the little guy, even though I'm not so little, can get fucked with no money, go through my entire savings trying to pay back Uncle Sam for I literally just tried to save up to go on vacation like all these white bitches around me in Orange County that were like, I'm going to Europe this year. It's so great. It's so great. Like, you've never been... You know how many times girls would be like, you've never been to Europe?
Yeah. Like, are you poor?
Wait, you have to pay for your own college? What?
Yeah, that's weird.
I did it all myself. Well, my daddy did it. Like, oh my god, Thailand's cheap. What are you, poor? Yeah, I am poor. Thank you. Thanks for reminding me that even white people can be poor, or Hispanic people, or whatever you want to call me. I'm a little mixture of everything. So it's like, cool. What? I'm so. And then these same white girls, by the way, are marching for Black Lives Matter.
Ones that got the free trip to Dubai and all that stuff.
Oh, I know girls that have been to Dubai.
Yeah, I know. That's why those are the girls' type of marching also, like...
She's like, the Middle East is so peaceful. It's so safe. Everyone's so nice to me everywhere I go.
Yeah,
crazy. Well, you're also hot with a millionaire dude that's like only using you for arm candy to show off. Like, look I got a white girl from America to come all the way out here just to be my arm candy. How dumb are you? But I have the cognitive, issues because I wear the mask, but I question it. Okay? You know that thing that goes, so like, that really small, like if a bead of water from your sweat can get in your mask, or your tears get into your mask, what about something that's 1/1,000,000th of that size? Maybe smaller.
Mm-hmm. Well, Fauci said we didn't have to wear the mask, then he decided to switch it, which goes in.
If you talk about what Fauci said 3 months ago, they will say it's partially false, and they will monitor you on the technocracy bastards. Because they're like, oh, he retracted that. Well, and again, why do we have faith in one man when there's a team of scientists, doctors, and researchers working on this? But every time someone comes out with something contradictory, they smash it. And then they go back to Fauci.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. But yeah, we could talk about this all day long. But this is a problem, and if you can't see it's a problem, you're a part of the problem. Okay, there is, again, nothing. All they do is lie to us. Look, let me tell you something. There was a court case. I forgot what it's called. It was won by the Native Americans, and it was a very important thing. I think it was in the 90s that forced the government to release documents after so many years, and they could redact it to at least get rid of things that would still be pertinent to today and or damaging to America. But they have to release documentation.
Uh-huh.
Because of that, we have things like Operation Northwoods. Look that up. That's a real document. Look it up. Operation Paperclip, we actually know about it now. Because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Operation Mockingbird, we were able to find that out because of that. So, look those up for me. Do a little research. You can Wikipedia, you can Google it, you can do whatever you want. I really don't care. You can ask your elder. Look it up. It's crazy information. So, next time, because we mentioned Fauci, why don't we talk a little bit more about Fauci? Whoop. George, take it away.
All right. Fauci calls White House attempts to discredit him bizarre. Weird. Dr. Anthony Fauci said Wednesday the White House attempts to discredit him are a bit bizarre, but it doesn't do anything but reflect poorly on them. I cannot figure out my wildest dreams why they would want to do that. I think they realize now that that was not a prudent thing to do because it's only reflecting negatively on them. The government's top infectious disease expert told The Atlantic in an interview from the administration official and the opposition researched out information the White House released about him over the weekend. Asked about the government trying to discredit him, Fauci said, well, that's a bit bizarre. I sit here and just shrug my shoulders and say, well, that's life in the fast lane. Yeah.
Okay. Two things. How bizarre, how bizarre. And also, Life in a Fast Lane, he just plagiarized. That's a song. And it's actually about cocaine. Doing cocaine. So, yeah. Life in the Fast Lane.
He definitely did something.
Oh, call the doctor. Do. Yeah, look that song up.
I mean, when your main contact is Bill Gates and you're working with him and Bill Gates isn't a doctor, it's kind of questionable. I'm sorry.
Doesn't he, I feel like he's a clone of some Nazi scientist, but that's just my opinion. Dr. Fauci. So
I just don't get people's obsession with him. I'm like, do you guys not know this guy's history? But whatever,
If you look at 6 months ago, they had doubt. The news and many people. They tried to discredit himself. 3 months ago, the narrative changed. Today, the narrative changes again. The news continues to change what they think about him. Again, if I rescind what I say and I go back on something I say, people will discredit me. Right? They're going to say I'm flip-flopping. They're going to say I'm nobody. So imagine if someone who's a doctor goes back on what he says and changes his beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And goes against what other nations are doing and then says, look at these other nations, they got it right. Well, why can't we get it right? We are the richest, most expensive country in the world. We have ungodly amount of doctors and researchers and scientists, and we can't get this right. Why is that? Why are other countries around the world getting this right and we can't? Could it be because we've politicized this? I heard something recently. It was when Dr. Rand Paul was talking to somebody. I forgot who it was. He had an interview, and he asked Rand Paul, have you ever heard this expression? When you mix politics and medicine, the only thing you get is politics. And that's pretty much everything. If you mix anything with politics, it's always politics, and it loses. And you lose out on what it should be. It becomes partisan. Mm-hmm. It becomes split down the middle, and it becomes them versus us versus them, when it should not be that. If it truly is that bad of a pandemic, and we are so fearful for that many people's lives, why is it why isn't it bipartisan? Like, why is it separated? Why are we having issues? Why aren't we someone standing up and saying this is what we need to do on both sides? And the problem is, you do have people standing up, but they're saying different things. They can't agree on stuff. They're making it an R versus D, and nobody's caring about the A, America. And that's the problem. And that pisses me off for the Republicans and the Democratic senators. They continue. And it's like Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats are like, hey, let's put a bill forward for the people. But then you read through the bill and you realize it's their own political bullshit in there, hidden in between the lines. So they're using this pandemic and people's lives and people's safety, people's money, and people's health as an excuse to push their own bullshit agenda. And then they hide behind, well, look we're trying to help people and the Republicans don't want to help us. And then the Republicans come out with something and then they're like, oh no, that's too much this way. It's always too much the other way. Instead of coming together and saying, this is what we have to do now. Right now.
That's what I have to do for the people.
And instead of people fucking falling into the trap and getting together and saying, no, I demand this from you. They fall into the trap. They fight with one another, and they cause more division. And then the news says it's Trump causing division when it's the people causing division. Go on Twitter. Go on Twitter right now. If you have a Twitter account, read through comments and realize it's our fault. We have no self-accountability. We have, our own interests, and we hate ourselves. And so how can you expect one man or woman to lead a country that hates each other? There are places in LA, like we talked earlier, that if you're from one street, you don't go to the other street. We have Americans killing each other every fucking day. Stabbing, shooting, beating each other. I just saw someone, I think it was in New York. This chick is walking with her fucking child. It's like 1 year old. And her ex, and they're arguing. He grabs her, starts choking her, and starts knifing her. The little baby gets thrown, smacks his head against the fucking ground. Both of them are hospitalized. He runs off and no one can find him. I'm not going to tell you the race. I'm not going to tell you anything else other than that was a scumbag that did that to that woman. It wasn't a gun, so you can't say gun violence. Wow, media's pissed about that one. Again, it comes down to people are animals. We are higher beings, but we are stuck and bound to this crude matter of our animalistic tendencies and our animalistic bodies. We might be a higher consciousness. We might have souls and spirits, but we're bound to a crude matter that is an animal. We might be a fourth, fifth dimension being that is simulated into an animal. But at the end of the day, this is animal. We still have issues, anger, and something that makes us worse and better than animals is our emotion. We have higher, more complex emotions. But just remember, emotions aren't just sadness and happiness. It's anger as well, and many more. Watch the 7 Little Doors, fool. So I just don't understand. It's like, this one man, both of these guys, Fauci's one man. I don't have all my faith in one man. Trump's one man. I don't have my faith in one man. I'm not going to. They both flip-flop. They both say things that contradict themselves from before. Fauci continues to contradict himself. And he hasn't been fired.
I don't know when the hell that's going to be. If that's even going to happen at this point.
I do not see any of these fucking Democrat senators, any of these fucking Democrat fucking puppets, and these fucking, or even a lot of Republican puppets in the media or in our seats, saying that they are working on a vaccine, they're very close, and they're working on therapeutics. And they've suggested things that help people. What else can you do? We have unhealthy people in this America. If I were president, I'd say, look, you fat fucks. Get on a fucking treadmill, start exercising, start eating healthy. I'm going to defund Monsanto's and fuck Bayer, fuck Monsanto's, fuck all these fucks, and we're going to fix our country from within. Let's help the homeless, and let's help the obese, let's help the unhealthy, and let's fuck you fucking pharmaceutical fucks. Let's fix ourselves. Let's get it right. And this last generation is going to die off horrible deaths because that's the truth. The boomers are dying off horrible deaths, and the next generation, our parents' generation, have a super high rate of cancer, super high rate of heart disease, super high rate, and they're going to die young. Hopefully the millennials can turn it around, and Generation Z could turn it around. I'm saying health. They
don't become communists, at least.
Yeah. Let's fix ourselves. You know, I'll admit, I admit with Bernie, we don't need more nukes, we don't need more jets. We need to fix ourselves. But also, we don't need to be in these countries. But we do need to have a good military because dumbasses are infiltrating our country and swaying these dumb, impressionable kids. It's a fact. Your frontal lobe isn't fully developed when you're that young. Nancy Pelosi wants 16-year-olds to vote, but 16-year-olds don't even know who they are. Most millennials don't know who they are.
Dude, I was in a pretty left extremist throughout my younger days too. But I grew up out of it. You just have to live life. I'm saying push the voting thing to 25.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't think 18, 19. Dude, we were freaking pretty crazy. Individuals.
Yeah, why don't we push the
age,
military?
You know?
You could join, but you're not allowed to go in active duty until your first time around.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, it's
your first 4 years. If you join, is just training and education in the military. And if you decide to re-up at 22, you can go and fight. Why not that? Because at least you have time to develop someone, to give them skills, and not to murder them. And let them understand, hey, maybe this isn't the right path. Thank you for, giving me a job, giving me education, bye. And then, if you're over 22, you can go and fight. I don't even think we should be fighting anywhere because it's not our fight. Half these fights aren't our fight. But there is a fight coming.
Let's go on to our next subject with that.
Bam. Doors are
All right. Beijing vows to tit-for-tat sanctions and says retaliation is inevitable unless U.S. changes course after Trump signs new HK legislation. China said it would impose sanctions on the U.S. after U.S. President Trump signed the legislation punishing Beijing for oppressive acts in Hong Kong and an executive order ending all preferential treatment for the city. The U.S. laws maliciously denigrates Hong Kong's national security. Legislation threatens to impose sanctions on China and seriously violates international law and basic rules of international relations. It is gross interference in Hong Kong affairs and China's internal affairs. China's foreign ministry said in scathing rebuke to Trump's announcement early on Tuesday that he had signed the so-called Hong Kong Anatomy Act into law. Apart from the act, which envisions sanctions against politicians who the U.S. has accused extinguishing the former U.S. or former British colonies' freedom with new nationality law, Trump also signed an executive order stripping the territory of its special trading status.
Yeah, so they're getting
the March Award.
Yeah, so they're getting preferential treatment for a few reasons. One, they have ties to the West. They were a colony, and up until 20, 30 years ago, not even. It was given back to China over time, and then they are very westernized. They're very advanced. They're very smart, and they're leaders in the world. And they asked us, because of their oppressive regime country in Beijing, China is forcing the hammer down. There are videos of people being put into trains. Real ones, not movies. People disappearing. And they've asked us. They've asked Trump specifically for help. Help us, please. Go and watch the videos. They have American flags. They have pictures of Trump and our government officials, and they're asking us for our help because They're a city. They're a people. They're small people. I'm saying small compared to China. They don't have their own military. They have a governor that's from China that's fucking them over. China just created new legislation to screw them over. Now, if you talk out against China, it's a crime. And so now they can legally steal your business, steal you personally, like they have been, but do it legally now. And it's like, China is flexing their muscle everywhere they can. They are having skirmishes with India. We've already talked about this. They're literally targeting and bullying every country in the South Pacific. They say that they own the trade in South Pacific. And essentially, if you want to go through it with trade, you go through us. They are trying to poke the American bear, so to speak. So, what does that mean, though? Why are we care for Beijing? Well, Beijing, again, has ties to the West. Beijing is a beacon of hope. Beijing is pushing against our enemy. And at the end of the day, China is our enemy. And how much you like it or not. And it may not be our enemy because we want to fight China. They are our enemy because we are top dog and they want to be top dog. That is, at the end of the day, the biggest fact. Because they want to be the superpower, and they will do anything they can, influentially, militarily, economically, socially, in every which way. We luckily haven't hit full-scale militarily to crush us and win. And they need Hong Kong. Why? Because, again, Hong Kong has a high source of revenue for them and is a tie to the West, and it's strategic. So in every which way, controlling Hong Kong is a strategy for them. And it could pull, and if they're goading us, they're baiting us. If we can't physically step in, but we can hit sanctions. So they are going to sanction us back. Again, baby steps into war. And they are powerful enough to actually affect us. Now, they don't want to, until there's, and this is the scary part. I've warned about this, They, one day soon, and they say in the next 4 years. So, depending on our next president, it might actually become true for them, and it might actually come to light, and come to the real world. They want to be self-sustaining. And when they're self-sustaining, guess what they're going to do to America? They don't have to hit us with a bomb. They could just shut us out and say, guess what? We don't need your money. We don't need your support, and we don't need your business because we could do it all ourselves. And then they're just going to cut us off. And all those businesses, all those, treasonous monsters in fucking the NBA.
Yep.
Okay? Every business gets fucked. Our entire economy that relies on Chinese import-exports, fucked.
Well, even the NBA signed that deal with China regarding switching their ball from Spalding to this other company that has all their shit in China. So it's just the little things.
And they're little steps. They build up. Let me tell you something. It isn't always the big thing that causes the problem. Like they say, the straw that broke the camel's back. Right? You know why they say that? It's because so many little tiny straws build up to a mass amount of weight. It's like people going crazy. It's not always, right? You see someone get road rage, right? They have all these big things that they're trying to hold. And then one little thing, like road rage, causes them to go crazy. And they lose their shit. That's how humans are built. It's not always the big thing that's dangerous. It's the little things. Because the big thing you can see coming. But the little things, you don't look at the little things. And you let them build. Why do you think marriages don't last? Why do you think families have issues? Why do you think people have mental issues and so many problems? That's why people go to therapy. Because they have to talk about the little things to get them off their chest over time. Do you think that someone in a therapist is only talking about the big event in their life? They're talking about everything. So, it's the little things. And these little things are building up. And they're stepping. And, it just scares me to see that we have, one presidential candidate that wants to get tough, but everyone's saying that he's treasonous and asked, General Z to, help him. And then it scares me that the other president candidate, literally, son has made over $1 billion with a B off of China, and has done work and has worked with China to screw us over.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the issue. Again, by 2024, they say they will be self-sustaining, self-sufficient. And if they are, guess what happens? So that means the next 4 years, whoever's president either has to stop them from their influence in the world and help the world stop China, or help them build it up.
Mm-hmm.
And you could say anything you want about Trump, and you're gonna, you say, Bolton, that fucking scumbag who just fell off the face of the earth. I haven't heard about his book in a minute, because Mary Trump's book, because everyone realized, oh my God, Bolton's a warmonger, and we can't take him serious because no one ever took him serious. So why are we gonna take him serious now? And how is it that he has no notes? He literally writes quotes without notes. Quotes with no notes. That's my new slogan. Quotes with no notes.
Sounds like a good tattoo,
What? So obviously we don't take him serious anymore. But we do have factual evidence that Hunter Biden and the Biden family has made profits off of China. Biden has made deals with China that have impacted negative over time. Because every deal that has Biden's signature has fucked us in the long run. Every deal. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Everything.
Yeah.
The 94 Farm Bill.
Yeah. Let me tell you something.
All that shit.
It's like an abused woman with battered wife syndrome. How many times does he have to fuck you over for you to realize he's not going to change?
As long as he keeps snipping your hair,
Yeah,
I guess.
they keep saying he's changing. He changed. He's going to change. No, he's not. The only change that's coming in Biden's life in the next 5 fucking years is the fucking casket.
Yeah.
He's already underground right now. The only difference is he still has a pulse, maybe. So
I'm sure it's a clone at this point.
So what who do you want in there? And again, I'm not trying to be left or right. I don't want either in there, honestly. I want someone who would actually, but it's impossible. You can't get, first of all, a clean whistle in politics, let alone the presidency. And if you do get someone that's trying to make change, they normally get one to the back of the head or a second one to the front of the head. So, there is no right answer for what we're going to do. I don't know what we're going to do. I know Biden will be nice on China. At least Hillary would not have been nice. At least if Hillary was president, she's a fucking crazy person. I prefer Hillary Clinton, Killer Clinton, who, speaks softly and walks around with a big stick to fuck up China, than Biden. Oh, here's another thing real quick because we talked about that. Okay, speak softly and carry a big stick, ... is a quote from Roosevelt, whatever, Teddy Roosevelt. I posted that on something, and someone said that is typical Trump pansy talk. That's not Trump. Bro. I never quoted Trump. I wasn't even talking about Trump. I was talking about some totally different situation. I mentioned that. Dude, and they said that's Trump pansy talk. And I'm like, that's not even Trump. That was fucking... Well, that was Teddy Roosevelt, dog. But I just had to say that in there. But look at these things that are happening. Okay, I already said it. In 5 years, America will not be America anymore. For the good or the worse. So, we are digging our own grave. We are going to reap what we sow. And we are going to pay for the sins of our fathers. That is true. We all pay for the sins of our fathers. That's a metaphor. It's not literal. Sometimes it is literal. Sometimes people get killed. Like that 1-year-old child in that gang shooting. So, that person needed bread at the cookout and they fucking shot a little kid in the face. A 1-year-old in the face. Shot him in the face. All right. That's paying for the sins of your father. So, China's gonna be number 1 in 5 years. And the world, I know y'all are, y'all don't know what maps change. The map of the world's going to be different in 5 years. And if you think, if you're going to do the dirty work for China, and you think they're going to pay you back, let me tell you a fun fact about communism and about monsters and dictators and these regimes. Every time, and I can even talk about the deep state and the social elite and the elite in America. Every time you do a favor, the payback is being snuffed. Once you do the dirty work for them, they kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Look at history. The real history. You die. You do the dirty work, and then you're a loose end. That's what it's called. You're a loose end. And you get rid of your loose ends.
The cartel does it. The U.S. government does it.
Hillary Clinton does it.
Yeah.
All of them. The mob, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Regimes. Again, I stress this a lot. And a lot of you probably think we're crazy for a lot of the stuff we say. But let me ask you something. I mentioned earlier how a man stabbed his ex-girlfriend over an argument, making the child hit their head and go to the hospital, and her stabbed and didn't die. But fucked her up over words. Maybe some actions, but not the actions in the moment. People get robbed over $5-10. This man, I think it was Victorville or Hesperia.
Sounds about right.
80-year-old Hispanic man was hauled into the bathroom, beaten within an inch of his life. And he only had $5 on him. They robbed him by $5. Tried to kill him. Right? That's nothing. These big corporations smash little businesses for lots of money to make themselves more money. But that's just money. So let me ask you. Oh, I'll actually go to this. Cops have, committed crimes by planting guns or planting incriminating evidence so they don't get in trouble. That's just, a small, they don't want to get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the real question I have to ask you. What do you think someone with real money and real power would do to keep that? Seriously. If someone would kill someone over $5, or at least stomp their head in, or stomp their head in over words, or go crazy on Twitter, or kill themselves, or kill someone else over something that was online, what do you think these people would do for real money and power? Seriously. You don't know. Most of you people listening, or most of the people that are on, YouTube or on BS, they don't know what real money and power is. And they'll never know. So you can't empathize or realize what it's like to be in that situation. What puts you, but once you get to a certain status of elite, power, money, you're going to want to keep it. Yeah, I've been sad and poor. I wouldn't mind being rich and poor. I mean, sorry. I've been sad and poor, but I wouldn't mind being sad and rich.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. So, when there's all these mystery deaths and suicides and things that don't make sense, ask yourself who's around them and why could it happen. And yeah, people call me a conspiracy theorist, but I just look at things for how they are. I try to look at things from both sides. So when you ask yourself, would you lie? Why would this news anchor peddle lies? Well, if you're being paid $25 million a year just to bitch on camera, I'd lie. Because I don't even know what it's like to have $25 million a year.
You're not going to rock the boat on that,
So that is, the average person in their whole lifetime, if they're the average, so I'm not saying minimum wage or high, but minimum wage, make less than $10 million in an entire lifetime. That's less than a month, that's not less than a month, but that's only a few months. That's less than half a year that these people make. And some people make less, some people make more. Then you talk about people that you're unable to count how much money they have. Or how much influence and power they have. Watch Conan the Barbarian or V for Vendetta or something, one of these movies, and realize the message in these movies. Shit, watch The Winter Soldier, because it's literally what has happened to our deep state. SHIELD is the deep state. They literally have police officers that are deep state, military and CIA. Well, SHIELD, they're all part of the deep state.
Yeah,
and they're all ex-Nazis or Hydra.
It's like Hydra, and
Operation. They even mention Operation Paperclip.
Mm-hmm.
So, when are we going to learn that if the average person doesn't give a shit about you, if you're homeless on the floor, that they will just step right over you? Do you think they really care? Do you think the non-average person, the elite, really cares about you? No. Do you think Jay-Z cares about you? No. Do you think Beyonce cares about you? LeBron James? The only thing they care about is that you continue to spend what little money you have on them. Do you think any of these people, I'll even say Tucker Carlson, do you think he cares about you? No. Hannity, Maddow, the Como brothers, any of these people. Bill de Blasio, do you think any of these people cared about you? I know people who don't care about their own blood, don't care about their own children, parents, grandparents, cousins, brothers, sisters. They don't care about the person they sleep next to every single night.
Sure.
So what do you think these people with money and power really care about? It ain't you. And when this goes down, this war, they're going to be gone. It's not going to be them fighting. It's going to be you. And for the people that are going to sell out and help them turn each other in, you're going to get it worse. Then, So, I hope it doesn't happen. I hope I'm crazy. I hope this war doesn't happen. I hope this is all just to fearmonger us into more power for them. But at the end of the day, either the New World Order, China, or America collapse is going to happen in the next 5 years. Some things you can't stop. You can do whatever you want. Any last thoughts, George?
Man, there's just so much. Like, we're all being lied to, guys, and it's kind of up to you at this point to like differentiate what's true or not, and do your own research, because there's just too much of it out there to not do it. So, there it is.
Read both sides. If you notice, all our articles are from different news sources. Read both sides and decipher for yourself. It's like I said, going to church. You shouldn't have to listen to a priest or a reverend or a pastor to tell you what to know. Read it for yourself. Decipher for yourself. And then you need some more insight and more help, then you go to them. You don't go to them, then read it, because they alter your perception. So do your research, think about it yourself, and try to come to a conclusion. Because obviously, it's all wrong and it's all right. I know that contradicts itself, but in certain aspects they're correct, in certain aspects they're incorrect. So send your kids to school. Let's get past this BS. Let's stop giving up our rights. Let's figure out our lives. Let's figure out what we're going to do with China. And let's hope for the best. And how about this? Next time you're in a Twitter argument, end it with, I hope you're well. Be well. I hope you have good health. No matter how bad an argument is, never leave it negative. Why? Well, I have an old friend that used to tell me, because of his life and what happened to him, his father left saying a bad thing to him and his children and died. The last thing he ever heard from that man was something horrible. So he says, I will never end a conversation with something negative, even if we're fighting. Because it could be the last conversation you've ever had. So, no matter how negative that conversation and that fight is, say something kind when you end it. So, to all my listeners, all whatever few of you, and if you've made it this far, thank you. Thank you for coming here. Be well, be healthy, and start looking at yourself of how you can fix yourself. Because at the end of the day, You can't always fix everything around you, but the one thing you can always work on is yourself. So be healthy, be well, keep your eyes open, all three of them.